Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, SirSpam28 here, back with another World of Warships closed beta gameplay. This is going to be another live commentary. I am in the Japanese Tier 4 Kuma class cruiser, and this looks like it's a very Tier 4 oriented game. The enemy does have one Tier 5 Congo class battleship. Our team has two Tier 5 Congo class battleships. So that's a pretty good matchup. They also have the new Tier 5 Japanese destroyer, Gramechki, or however the hell you say that. I'm not quite sure. I will be taking a look at the premium ships a little bit farther in the future. I do have all three of them. I did splurge on that bundle, so I will be bringing you some impressions and reviews as soon as I get my head around all three of those and play some more games in them, just to get a well-rounded feel of how they operate. Now, I mostly stuck with the U.S. cruisers and destroyers so far in my closed beta experience, but I figured that it would be time to start in on the Japanese cruisers, just so I can experience all of the tech trees. And given that space event provided us with a large amount of free ship slots, I now have the room in my port to splurge on these Japanese cruisers. Now, I was able to free XP my way just from all the 5% free XP that you get off of every battle. I had quite a bit saved up, so I was able to free XP my way to the Tier 4 Kuma, and this is fully upgraded as well. And I did splurge on a captain for this with 3 points. So this has the enhanced torpedoes, and I think enhanced secondaries and AA, just because this is going to be a cruiser captain. So as we go up the line and the cruisers get more and more secondaries and AA, I will be able to fulfill my primary duty of being a screening force for the battleships. Now, Japanese destroyers are different from American destroyers in that they have torpedoes instead of a lot of AA, like the higher tier American cruisers. But that gives them a certain flexibility, if you would, to be able to engage capital ships a little bit easier than American cruisers. Whereas American cruisers have to rely on their guns to engage capital ships, and that's kind of a losing fight when you are a cruiser with 6 or 8-inch guns versus a battleship with 6 and 8-inch guns as his secondaries, and then giant 12, 14, or 16-inch guns as the primaries. Cruisers lose that fight quite a lot, but with the torpedoes of the Japanese cruisers, it's kind of a great equalizing effect. Now, unfortunately, you don't have the stealth of a destroyer, either Japanese or American, so you do have to kind of withstand some of that fire as you're closing into torpedo distance. And I think the torpedoes on this ship go 7 kilometers, so not too bad. Here we got an enemy Kuma kind of coming within gun range. There's the St. Louis out there as well, so I'm going to go ahead and lock onto this guy, see if we can't lead him. We're looking at 8 seconds, so we'll put our first salvo there, see what happens. Looks like it's going to fall a little bit behind, so we'll readjust and put our second salvo in there as we get behind this island and into cover. And it looks like everybody on both teams is kind of funneling into this area over here, so hopefully we can provide some fire. Those battleships are still out of range of my primary armament, except for that one right there. He's coming in closer, so we're going to start opening up on him. I still have HE loaded here, and I'm probably still going to keep HE loaded as I'm firing these guns at this battleship, just because AP from these caliber guns aren't really going to do anything. If he continues to close in, though, we are going to look to engage him in a torpedo run as he's distracted by this cruiser here. Now, as I'm turning, I'm actually going to switch to AP and start engaging that cruiser over there, just to give my battleship a little bit of cover, and we're able to set that Congo on fire as well, which is great. So as I'm coming into him, I'm going to still be firing at this cruiser, and now that he is within torpedo range, And it looks like he might be actually going on the other side of that island, so I'm not going to be able to hit him. But I'm going to swing over and try to engage these guys with torpedoes as we can. These guys should be primarily focused on that battleship, hopefully, maybe. Oh, this guy switched over to me. He's a St. Louis. That's a very, very bad thing to have shooting at me. So I'm going to be zigging and zagging as much as I can. And hopefully we can get some Citadel hits on the St. Louis. As I get my, now both these cruisers are firing at me. So that's not good. But hopefully I can get my guns all trained on the St. Louis and get some Citadel hits, but it's not going to happen. I think I'm going to be pretty gone here. They started focusing on me instead of on the battleships. Because I think I am for sure the easier target to be hitting. And there are 2 St. Louis actually over here, which is quite bad. So I'm going to try to get the hell out of here. This guy might get some torpedoes kind of thrown in his general direction in case he wants to turn and face me in this direction. But we'll see if we can't get the hell out of dodge. One of my turrets just went down. And now we don't have very many guns firing at these guys at all. And I am pretty screwed. Gotta keep zigging, gotta keep zagging. Gotta keep trying to avoid as much fire as I possibly can. Getting out of this scenario and hopefully getting back around this island without taking too much further damage. You can really kind of see what zigging and zagging does for you, even on ships that fire as rapidly as St. Louis. You can avoid a lot of their fire just by zigging and zagging. And I think too that there's a lot of new people, obviously, now that you can buy your way into the closed beta with the premium bundles. There's going to be a lot of newer blood in the water, as it were, that maybe don't quite have the aim mechanics. So zigging and zagging is even more important than before. Looks like this is still a one. Nope, just went to a 1-2, which is unfortunate. I am fairly damaged here, so I'm gonna try to keep at extreme range. I have larger caliber guns than the St. Louis, so I should be able to engage them further out than they can hit me. So I'm just gonna keep trying to pepper these guys with shots, but I'm a little bit towards the end of my engagement range, so I might kind of come in for a second run here. And that Kuma's at low health. Look for the low health target, see if we can't pick anybody off. All these guys are pretty low. But at the same time, so am I. So I want to get into a position where I can start shooting at them while they're distracted with other people. Unfortunately, they're all kind of going around that island, which maybe might give me an opportunity to kind of break through the center here and close a little bit. And this St. Louis he's steaming a little bit out of range now. But that's going to be quite all right. Maybe I can get in close to this battleship and get a good torpedo run on him. That would be the best thing for everybody. There's a destroyer. He is a fairly important target to be taking out, so I'm going to do that. Some of these guys are coming around this island, which is bad for me. This St. Louis, I think, is coming back. I think my only chance against the St. Louis is maybe to actually close to torpedo range. Unless I can get some really good Citadel shots in on him. It's probably not going to happen. But I can, again, start the zig, start the zag. Let's see what happens. But unfortunately, I think this might be it for me. Because the St. Louis just has such a great volume of fire that it's really hard to deal with. And he's also a pretty, honestly, heavily armored ship, I should say. Now, this battleship is just within torpedo range, but I think, again, he's still going to stay on that other side of the island, which is unfortunate for me. But I am kind of making a run behind these guys. I didn't actually mean to launch those torpedoes. That was interesting. But now the smoke is kind of working against them, in that they might have lost sight of me for a little bit. And hopefully maybe I can get around this island and start giving some pain from the backside. Again, that's the thing with the torpedoes on cruisers, on the Japanese cruisers, and even on the lower tier American cruisers. They're never going to be as large as your spotting range. So it's really hard to get into an area where you can actually work with them. It looks like it's still 3-3. They've kind of fallen back to protect some of their carriers, it looks like. So that's interesting. So I'm gonna focus on this guy now. Those fell a little short. So we're gonna go here. We're gonna slow it down. I'm gonna lose him behind the island, which is fine. It's gonna give him cover as well. Oh, there's a carrier right there, which means I should start putting shots into him if I can, as my guns converge. He's a Langley, so he's pretty slow, but he's still pretty far out there. So we're gonna give him a shot. And oh my God, there's a destroyer right here. So let's see if we can't line up on him and give him the old good news.
Bullseye.
Before he has a chance to launch torpedoes at me. See if we can't sink him. I'm going to continue turning because I want to avoid any torpedoes that he has at me. May have already had in the water. Now it looks like we've got an enemy destroyer that's broken through and he's threatening our base. So I'm going to go back and see if I can't deal with him. I don't know what he is, but we're 6-4 on this side, so it looks like we probably have it. And they're all really low health, and it looks like we've got more health on their side. So this destroyer, and he is a Japanese destroyer, which is good news for me. That means that his guns aren't going to threaten me like a American destroyer would. So I'm just going to have to dodge his torpedoes and try to get within gun range of him and reset that cap. It looks like he was kind of forced out of the cap by that carrier. So I'm going to see if I can't get back and defend while my team continues the attack over here. That's something that you just want to keep in mind. Keep looking at the mini-map. Make sure that you're looking for those threats. Make sure that you're in a position to flex back when you need to. And make sure that you're recognizing those threats early enough so that you can get back. Luckily for us, I think this destroyer is preoccupied with chasing down and killing our Langley. So he's not forcing the cap. So that's going to give me time enough to get back here and get into the cap and hopefully maybe save this Langley. Probably not going to happen given how slow the Langley is. He's going to be under fire from that destroyer, and that destroyer is definitely going to try to close it within torpedo distance. So the best thing for me to do might be actually to kind of close with the Langley myself and try to cut off the enemy destroyer. Still out of gun range. This Langley needs to start coming towards me, which I think he's doing. He's trying to get around that island, which is going to be interesting. But I am steaming. I'm getting close. I'm going to go ahead and I might switch to HE here in a second, but we'll keep it with AP for now. You can see these lower caliber AP guns, such as that other destroyer that we took out, they are effective at taking out destroyers. So I'm not too worried about it. I think he's seen me. He's seen kind of the blood in the water, or he's seen you know, and he's kind of turning to engage me, I think, before he finishes or goes after that carrier. So he might also just be turning away from those torpedoes that the carrier dropped. So hopefully we can get on this guy and take him out. I'm going to go ahead and switch to HE now that he's closing in and see if we can't really give him the good news. Hopefully these shots can connect. A little bit low. He's kind of fading that way. And he's once again avoiding those torpedoes from the carrier. I want to get in between him and the carrier. So that's what I'm going to do. It's 7-5. I think we still probably have the advantage. They've only got 3 surface ships left, and they're 2 carriers, as compared to we have 4 surface ships over there, and then our 2 carriers. And myself, obviously, is back here, focusing on this destroyer. So technically on that flank, they only have 2 surface ships, which is fine. This guy, let's see if we can't get him in a world of hurt. Hopefully we can start hitting him here. There we go. The second salvo should do good work. This third salvo should do even better work. starting to shoot at me, which is, you know, not gonna be happy, fun times for him, as we can start critically damaging him. And from my experience in U.S. destroyers, I know how to shoot at enemy destroyers. So this guy is not in for a very fun day, and we have saved our Langley and saved our cap, which is a great thing. That's what you want to do. So, not too much excitement as far as cruiser on cruiser action or cruiser on battleship action, but I was able to take out 2 destroyers, the 2 destroyers on the enemy team, save this Langley, and avoid these torpedoes. Hopefully, let's see if we can't get into a gap here, and then slow it down and just watch them go right on by. And there they go, and we are safe, and now we accelerate and churn away, and we should be good to go. Willie my finger says the thing is so slow. The St. Louis is a very, very, very slow ship, but now all they have left is their 1 carrier, so we should win this by killing the enemy team. But that's just something you got to look at and recognize that destroyer had broken through the center, because again, both teams kind of sent all of their surface fleets, or surface vessels, over to the 1-2 line. So there's a big cluster F and kind of furball over there. So that 1 destroyer had a good, smart idea, which was to break through the unprotected side, pressure our carriers, and pressure the cap. Luckily, I was able to notice that on the minimap quick enough and flex back and pressure him out of the cap, and then kill him as he was trying to engage our friendly carrier. If that destroyer was playing a little bit more smart, I think he would have pressured the cap more than he would have pressured the carrier, but I think he got hungry for a kill on that unprotected Langley. Langleys are very slow and very big targets, so, you know, they are tempting. I do understand that that instinct to go straight for him. But if he wanted to try to win the game for his team, I think he would have probably been better off pressuring our cap, and then when I came in to try to push him out of the cap, popping the smoke, and then just trying to ambush me from the smoke with his torpedoes and then with his guns. I only have 6,700 health left, so I'm a fairly low health target. So even with his destroyer's guns, being a Japanese destroyer, he still had a decent chance. You know, if he made me churn to avoid his torpedoes, which would have taken a lot of my guns off of him, and then tried, you know, to load the AP and get some Citadel hits on me, it would have only taken 2 Citadel hits from his caliber of primary deck gun to take me out. So he stood a pretty good chance. And then once he had taken me out, he would have been able to cap out the game uncontested. None of our ships, I don't think, based on where they were over there in like the C2 area, would have had enough time or been fast enough to flex back and push him out of our cap at that point if he had taken me out. So if you find yourself in that situation where you are, you know, your team is losing pretty heavily on the other flank, but you have found yourself in a position where you've snuck through and you're in the enemy's base area, don't go chasing after their carriers. You want to pressure that cap, and then if only a couple ships come back, or in this case only myself came back, 1 ship that was heavily damaged, even if it's a cruiser which is built to kill destroyers, you have a fighting chance, one-on-one, even if it's a full health cruiser, just by being able to use your smoke and use your torpedoes to force maneuvers, and then use your guns, especially if you're in a U.S. destroyer. Never be afraid to take on a light cruiser like this, like the Kuma, in a U.S. destroyer with your rapid-firing guns. Just aim for the Citadel hits, load the AP, it's a lightly armored ship, and you can maybe take them out and win the game. So, not too bad of a result, a 4,478 experience, 192,000 credits earned. Because I did buy that pack, this is, I believe, running a premium account, so these numbers are a little bit inflated, but if you take a look at the base experience, we can see just shy of 2,000 base experience, which is not a bad result. Kind of like World of Tanks, I think they kind of use the same calculation methods. So in this game, I would put anything above 1,000 experience per match as decent, and I would put anything above about 1,400, 1,500 experience per match as good. And then anything above 2,000, this is all base experience, by the way. Then anything above 2,000, right around 2,000 base experience and above is a pretty great game. And then, of course, going up and up from there is just fantastic and fantastic. So just shy of 2,000. So just shy of, I think, that great mark, you know, only really took out those 2 destroyers and then peppered some of their cruisers with some fire. So not too big of an impact as far as the numbers go, but I think tactically wise, I was pretty integral to the match, just being able to flex back and save that Langley and then pressure that destroyer out of the cap and kill that threat while the rest of our team cleaned up and won that engagement pretty solidly on that 1-2 line. So looking at some more numbers here, we can see we've got about 42,000 damage done. No torpedo hits. Only launched 6 torpedoes. Didn't hit anything. Like I said, the cruiser torpedoes are really there as kind of only a great equalizer. If you find yourself in torpedo range of an enemy cruiser, especially an American cruiser, if you can kind of close that distance and you can withstand that withering fire, because as they get past tier 5, they're not going to have torpedoes anymore, unless it's in Atlanta, but that's a special case. So as a Japanese cruiser, you have that kind of advantage over them. And if you find yourself within torpedo range of a battleship, you're probably going to die, but it's kind of a great equalizer, because as you're dying, you could hopefully launch a torpedo spread and take him out as well, which a cruiser for a battleship is not an even trade as far as, you know, ship-to-ship trade is concerned. So that works out very well for your team, you sacrificing yourself as a cruiser to kill a battleship. Not too bad. But anyway, back to this match. Yep, 42,000 damage done. Again, not the greatest, but tactically, I think this was a pretty good match, just being able to flex back. And you can kind of see that in the distance traveled. Almost 100 kilometers traveled. Kind of screening the team on the inside there as they all went on the outside route, making sure that those cruisers that we were shooting at weren't able to kind of break through and flank. So kind of holding off that position, taking a lot of fire and a lot of punishment for it, but being able to zigzag in between their salvos and save a little bit of health. And then looking at the minimap and recognizing that, oh my goodness, there was a threat pressuring our base, and being able to flex back, take him out, save the cruiser, or save the carrier rather, pick up the second kill, do a bunch of damage there, and, you know, save the game. And you can kind of see, even though I was firing, well, I killed that first destroyer with AP, but I killed the second destroyer almost entirely with HE. But even though we didn't do a lot of damage to those cruisers, just raining those AP shells on those St. Louis that we were shooting at earlier, and I think there was one Kuma in there as well. It adds up. Again, 42,000 damage is not the greatest, and 1,990 experience is just shy of what I consider a really great game, but still not a bad game by any stretch of the imagination. I hope you guys enjoyed this live comm. I will try to make more videos and keep you updated as I'm going down this Japanese cruiser line. This is, again, a new line for me that I just started today to work down. I jumped right into Japanese battleships and destroyers and right into American cruisers, so now I'm kind of rectifying that and going down the Japanese cruiser line. The only line I haven't really progressed past, I just still have just the Langley as far as the aircraft carrier goes, and I actually sold it. I'm probably not going to do any aircraft carrier videos until they tweak maybe some mechanics of the aircraft carriers. They're powerful. They're good ships. If you enjoy, you know, playing as an aircraft carrier, then by all means, go ahead. I just don't like the playstyle. I don't like the top-down RTS nature of it. It reminds me a bit too much of Arty and World of Tanks. I think it's a lot better of an implementation than Arty. It's a lot more fair than Arty, of course. And I wouldn't really one-to-one compare them to Arty, but it's just the playstyle is a little bit removed from the battle. It's a little bit too much removed from the battle for me. And I personally am all about surface-to-surface engagements with the guns. That's why I like the American cruisers and the American destroyers so much. And so just not having that facet of naval combat makes me, you know, just makes me not want to play the class. So that is going to be this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time.